we go. All right, as we welcome you back into our continuing coverage of National Signing Day, Dory Noka, Rod Gilmore, Gene Chizik, Tom Luganville, and you made a point in a nice casual meeting that was incredibly entertaining yesterday, Gene, about Twitter, Facebook, and its role suddenly in recruiting. How do you describe that role?
Completely changed the complexion of recruiting. No question in my mind. You know, Facebook and Twitter, you can look at a young man's Facebook and Twitter and never meet him and get a probably 70% accurate evaluation of who that guy is by looking at his Twitter and his Facebook. And again, this is a day and age in recruiting where technology is king. You have to be able to do that. You have to be able to Facebook kids. They love the tweets. I mean, look at the tweets you just read.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what kids thrive on, and you have to be technologically savvy, which I'm not, but you have to be. And but you really do have to be that. I think it's completely changed the way fan bases, recruits. I think it's affected everything.
And just as we see at the collegiate level, at the high school level, that's where it starts. Can you handle all this notoriety? Can you handle the exposure? Can you handle that person on Twitter that's telling you you're an idiot if you go to this school or that school, this is where you need to come to? And can you handle having a level head when everybody's telling you how great you are and it's just being thrown at you from every direction? But from a coaching standpoint, you know, the coaches that understand and how to navigate the landscape in which kids communicate these days, because they're not going to listen to voicemail and call you back on the phone. You're going to catch them on text. You're going to catch them in email, Facebook, Twitter, all of those areas. You've got to be able to communicate through their spectrum. And if you can do that, you're going down the right path.
And have been with us throughout the day. You know, Coach Chizik was talking about it. You can monitor these young men and learn a lot about them. You may not necessarily see the real young man when he's face-to-face with you in your office, but you can find that out on Twitter. How much did you use it?
Well, we certainly used it a lot, and you use it to gather information on a player, use it to find out information on his other interests and the family, and there's so much you can find out now with the internet.
We'll check back in with you in just a little bit as we bring in another head coach, the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Mike Gundy, on this signing day. And Coach, I want to talk about your class in a moment, but I find this discussion fascinating about the use of social networking sites like Twitter and Facebook when it comes to recruiting. How much have you found yourself using those networking sites?
Well, I don't go on them myself, but we have a number of people that work in our office that monitor Facebook and Twitter constantly. It's a great resource for information.
Yes, I know how important recruiting is. Nobody knows it more than you because you've had great ones. But how does social media affect recruiting, and what are you doing at Auburn to incorporate that in your football program?
Well, I think young people, they communicate on social media, and that's the way I think you got to reach them. It's different than it used to be, and it's really changed in the last few years. All of our coaches use social media, Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that, and that's just where recruiting's going.
It's huge. It's huge, and it can be a wonderful positive to be able to be following somebody in their tweets, following their Facebook, and knowing that they're serving their family, that they're supporting the local community. It's outstanding, and those are the stories that I like to share with people. The honest truth is that's not what's happening.
Monitor your son's Facebook, monitor your son's Twitter. It is the number one thing we look at now as far as character on these kids. Because they're actually on there telling the truth. Because they think nobody sees it. But in reality, it's not very hard to see what they're putting out there. They think their stuff's private. They have a buddy who friends them. You go through the friend, you can see everything they have on there. Okay, so, and we're not the only ones doing it. It's how we're monitoring these kids now. So make sure you know who they're friends with on Twitter, Facebook. Make sure you know what they're putting out there, what pictures, whatnot, all that stuff. First and foremost, that's critical.
Said, by nature, we're evaluators, we're assessors, we're judgers. So be really mindful of your own personal brand as a young high school athlete. And like I said, college coaches are judging you everywhere. So you may be from Chicago, Illinois, and doing it all right and have the same skill level as the kid in another state that's doing it all wrong. You may have the same skill level, and we're going to literally pick that kid that's doing it all right, and that includes evaluating you on your tweets, how you speak, how you see the world, and on your Facebook.